checking out a new state park. Changing up the morning hiking routine. And are you ready for this? Let's do it. Woo! All right, let's talk about Ginnie Springs State Park here in High Springs, Florida, a little bit outside of Gainesville. That's where I'm staying, and this is what I call a mega park, a park that is so huge, has multiple things to do, and a lot of sites for folks to come camp at. And it really is the kind of park where if you want to enjoy the springs, you want to get into some tubing, it's fine. There's a lot of tent camping mixed with RV camping, a lot of sites that aren't even really on the map when you check in, but that you're able to go and find on your own and then camp there. It's really what I call a party park, place where families get together to have group tent camping and RVing. A lot of spots for people to just enjoy themselves as groups. And I guess that's really the best part about it. If you want to share it with groups and hang out, that makes it really good. For me, and this is just my personal take, it's a little loud, a little noisy for me. People are walking in and out of your site, not respecting your space. There is a lot of noise all day and all night. Music blaring, people yelling and having a good time, and I get that that's what a lot of folks want to do, but when I get away on an RV trip, I like to have it a little bit more quiet, and then pick and choose the noise that I want. You know, the spot where I'm at was easy to get into. They have electric and water. There are a mixture of electric and water sites and then non-electric and water sites all throughout the campground. You know, they have a lot of bathhouses all over the place, some dump sites, and you know, they also have sand beach volleyball courts. So there's a lot to do here at the main check-in location. You can get inner tubes and things like that so that you can go up and down the springs. So again, this is a great place to come if you have a lot of folks that just want to hang out and just enjoy the springs and the water and yell. And so for that purpose, I guess it's an okay park, but again, for me, it was just a little too noisy. But you know, my goal is to explore as many different parks as I can, a lot of different sites as I can. I've never stayed at the same park twice, so this was a new park, a new experience, and one that I'll rack up and mark off and say, hey, I did it, been there, done that. Okay, these are what I'm calling the little pass-through trails that get you from different places so that you can go tubing, I assume.
So a chilly hike, a different kind of a hike, but in the end, still a great hike.
All right, I love bread, and I'm going to do something that I've tried at home, but now we're going to do it for real here on the campsite. We are going to make a rustic loaf as part of a breadboard for later tonight for dinner. And this is a process that starts early in the day because you got to make your dough and you got to let it rise a couple of times before we're going to try and cook it right here on the grill. So let's get started. We're going to start making our dough right away and start getting it ready for later tonight.
It all starts with some yeast, some sugar, some water, and letting it proof.
The next step is now to combine the dry ingredients with wet. We're going to use all-purpose flour, some spices, and then we're going to put that in a bowl and then take our yeast mixture along with some other water and mix that all up, knead it up, and then cover it and get it ready for its first rise.
Let's get the dry ingredients ready. You're going to start with 2 cups of all-purpose flour. You just want to get them into the bowl. And then you want to take another about half cup of flour that you can use to put onto your board. After that, it's getting in your spices. You're going to use some salt, a little bit of pepper, and then you also want to add to it the spices that are going to be part of the rustic bread. For me, I'm using some garlic powder. Always love the garlic powder in the bread and in my cooking in general. I'm using some basil in there as well, as a little bit of oregano to give it that hearty taste. I've got some French thyme that I'm putting in, and also some rosemary to put in there. You want to kind of mix that all up and get that ready, and then you want to add your wet ingredients. Starting with your yeast and water mixture, you're going to add a little bit of water as well to kind of get a good consistency with your dough as you mix it up. Once the dough has tightened up and it looks like it's ready to go, you want to roll it out onto your board. That's where you have that extra flour, and you want to knead it, get it nice and hard. You don't want to over knead it with your hand. You don't want to overwork it, but you want to get it into a nice consistency, a nice tight ball before you put it into a bowl to rest and start to rise. And there you go, the dough is now ready to put into a bowl and start the rising process.
So the next thing you want to do is take some olive oil, put it in a bowl, take your dough ball and put that into the bowl, cover it with a warm, wet cloth, and let the rise begin. The first rise is done, time to punch that down and then let it rise again. The bread has now gone through its second rise, and now it's time to get it into the pan before we put it onto the grill. Now, what I like to do is I use a cast iron skillet. I'm going to heat that skillet up for just a little bit, and then I'm going to put some olive oil in the bottom of it, let it cool down, then put the dough into the skillet put some marks on the top of the bread and let it rise just one more time for about a half hour to 40 minutes before I get it onto the grill. So let's get the whole process started.
So what I do here is I put the pan on the fire, let that start to warm, put the oil in, turn off the fire, and then wipe it down before I put the dough back into the pan. The dough has risen twice. It is nice and ready. I'm just gonna roll it out onto the board, get it into a nice ball again, and then I will take the dough, put it into the pan, and once it's in the pan, I will score it on top. You just want to take a sharp knife and you want to put some marks across it a couple of times, and then I will cover it with the wet cloth again, let it rise just for a little bit before we take all of that and put it onto the fire. I will also add a little olive oil just to the top as well.
Okay, so I've put some olive oil on the loaf of bread. It's ready to now go on. The fire is set. It's time to put the pan into the fire and start baking this bread.
Now that is a good looking loaf of bread. For cooking this, I'm going to take the cast iron skillet and put it right onto the coals and then close it up and get that smoky flavor all throughout the bread.
Well, it looks good. Time to now just wait. Keep those coals hot as well.
You want to check things up at about 25 minutes. Should take about 25-30 minutes to cook the whole thing.
The bread is done. It is now time to plate everything up and start eating some dinner. And there you have it. We have our rustic bread. We have a cheese and fruit and egg plate. I've got some champagne. Let's try it out. The bread, oh, looks great. I used some herb butter with garlic. I'm gonna just put that right on there. Nice and fluffy. And then let's have some cheese and meat with this. That's good. And then the bread. Absolutely fantastic. This is one of the best meals that I've made here in a while. The nice part about it, it's light. You can pick it, choose what you want to do. You don't have to eat it all at once. This is going to last a whole night and it's going to be excellent. I will put a link on how you make all of this underneath, and when you get a chance, try it out on the road. Hey, that's going to do it right now for me. Make sure you follow me along all social media at RVJedeye, and then of course you can follow me on my blog at RVJedeye.com. Get out there, RV, chef it up. You don't have to eat poorly when you're on the road. This is a perfect example of how you do it. I think you can do it too. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. And go out there and have fun.